But the problem is when dudes just try to like emulate it and do it. I mean, I literally had conversations with a lot of Bay rappers, and I won't say no names, where they was just talking bad about the hyphy music when it started. But when they saw it start getting big, they
right
said, well, fuck it, let me try to do it too, because maybe that'll get me more shows and blah blah blah. And they end up really hurting them, and it's something that they're really gonna have a hard time bouncing back from. But I always, in my Frontline and my label, you know, IMGMI and EA Ski, we always stayed consistent with our beliefs and what we stood for. So, you know, so you'll see, like, you know, now that the smoke and all the silliness is over, that we're still standing.
Right. Yeah, man. Shout outs to ESK right there. And also, you know, it's funny you mentioned that, because it kind of reminded me of reggaeton and a lot of like Latin rappers.
I was gonna say that same thing. that hyphy movement, you can kind of compare it to reggaeton, how it was just a fad, and now everybody is trying to embrace the bigger picture as the urban Latino movement.
And
so
a lot of Latin, like, hardcore rappers were like, "Nah, man, fuck that."
Yeah, fuck that reggaeton shit.
It'll pass.
And they jumped on it hella quick.
Like, you gonna do a reggaeton joint? Nah.
You should do a collab with one of the reggaeton artists around here, man.
I remember you couldn't go nowhere without hearing reggaeton. Then it just like appeared, you know.
That's tight. That's tight. So the other phrase that I wanted to ask you about is one that says, "I don't need a docile version of education." So what do you think? You are graduate from Berkeley? Am I right?
Yeah.
You know, Katina over here, she's also graduated from UC Berkeley. You guys should
go Bears.
Really?
Yeah,
should be go Bears.
Hey.
Graduated with a degree in African American studies.
All right. So what do you tell me a little bit about what you meant right there?
Well, basically, like, even like Berkeley, you know, like I'm very appreciative of my education, and I definitely enjoyed my experience at Berkeley. But at the same time, I see, like, within the politics of, like, you know, of universities, I see what's going on. I see, like, the type of, like basically, like, I'm not the type of person to just accept whatever you feed me, because, like, even like going through college or whatever, for, you know, for however many years I spent at Berkeley, I realized that, like, there's a big difference between learning something and really digesting it and becoming more knowledgeable.
Yes.
And then big difference between that and just like regurgitating something that's being fed to you, you know. And like within the school systems, whether it's on a very low level to a high school level to a college or to a university, like, some people are like just good at regurgitating what they're being fed, and then some people actually soak up the knowledge and learn from it, you know. And there's a big difference. So when I'm saying that I'm not just gonna go, because a lot of times when you go to these schools, people are just training you to be a part of the system. Exactly, so I'm saying that I'm not just, you know, a fucking docile clone that's just being fed this information. You expect me to just become one of your, you know, one of the parts in your food chain, you know. I'm saying, like, hey, I'm gonna take what you got, but I'm gonna use it and I'm gonna think for myself. I'm not just gonna be like one of your little clones.
Yeah, you know what? I also believe that we definitely got to start questioning the things that our format when we teach, not only in college, but I think especially in high school and middle school, you know what I mean, what we teach kids. I mean, how much do these things really help and are going to help them in the future, and how many things are we not teaching them that maybe we're supposed to teach them?
There's a lot of things that are left out, especially in this country, in terms of history and how history is taught and things like that, where you absolutely cannot just feel like you're educated because you went into a classroom. You have to constantly, I mean, I'm all for higher education, and I totally feel you, Locksmith, about Cal. You know, I was an English major, so on the one end, I took courses in ethnic studies and Chicano studies and things like that for my own, from just my own enjoyment, and had some wonderful professors that were very outspoken and did address the real issues. But in a lot of my other classes, you know, English classes, Shakespearean classes, there was just some things that were not addressed, and sometimes I felt like I needed to speak up, you know, and speak out, being one of the few females of color in most of my classes was always an interesting side to be on. But I think it's just you always have to be learning on your own as well, and doing your own reading and doing your own research, and not just sitting in a chair at a desk and, like you said, just receiving whatever they choose to give to you. There's a lot more information out there than any one teacher can teach.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably writing rhymes most of the time in class anyway. So I
feel you.
Yeah,
I was, you know, because that was kind of the time where I was like, we were starting to, you know, do shows and stuff. So, you know, I'm coming to class, I'm tired, I'm falling asleep and stuff. Right. But, you know, But I got through it.
Yeah, man, I feel you. Yeah, I think we should teach kids like something like money management. You know what I mean? Like help them, like teach them how to manage your money, man. Because people spend money like it's crazy. They don't really like invest in nothing that's gonna bring more money later. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, one of the final questions is, so what do you think about Obama?
What do I think about Obama?
And I seen your interview. I seen a couple of videos in your interview.
So I can't tell you what I think about it, but I do know that I know what the American presidency means, and I know that I'm very much I'm very skeptical of Obama, but I know what the presidency means. I know that basically at this point in U.S. government, the presidency means nothing. I mean, government is controlled by banks and controlled by companies at this point. Is controlled by the bureaucrats, which is in turn controlled by bankers, which is in turn controlled by Jewish, contributors, which is why we have such a close tie to Israel. So I know that Obama's administration, his campaign to get elected, had his majority, I know where his money came from. So I know that the presidents have to answer to those people that got them elected. I think that anytime you're running for an office where you raise more money to get elected for a job that you earn less money, you raise millions of dollars to get a job where you earn hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that don't make any sense. So
somebody.
There's bigger interests at stake. And I think that people like Obama, this presidency, they're pretty much, they're just pretty much handpicked to carry out certain missions, And since I think it's been since like FDR or something like that, majority of the American presidents have been controlled by financial interests outside of the American government, like international banking, and it's even more so now. That's why we're in such a debt. But then you can bail out all these banks and give them such large amounts of money, and you wonder where did our money go? Because we have to keep the banks doing what they're doing. So America's in a really bad situation right now, and Obama is just a part of the pawn. He's just a pawn in the whole part of the game. He's just the face,
Yeah, and I think that really the bailing out of the banks, I think that really showed who was really in charge. You know what I mean?
I mean there's no difference between a Democrat and Republican. They're the same thing to me. The interest is for the elites and to keep the elites in the power and to keep things going. And they basically kind of just, to me, like America was like, psychologically, America was on the brink of revolution. Like they were so unhappy with what was going on. Over the last 8 years, and it got worse and worse and worse. And the same thing's going on now because we're sending more troops to Afghanistan. You know what I mean? We want to go into Pakistan. We want to go into Iran. And what happened is, right when America was on the brink of being fed up, they gave us a black president. So now we have all the minorities because the country is becoming more and more colored. So now the people of color are, right when they're fed up, then they say, "Oh, okay. Well, we got a black president. Well, okay. Well, let's see what he's going to do now." And it's been a year, and he hasn't done anything. Yeah. I mean, he's said this and that, but if you looked in, we're worse off financially, and we're sending more troops into battle.
No. Have you seen the Obama Deception?
I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
All right, yeah, pretty interesting documentary. But Locksmith, so tell
people about that before that even came out.
For real, son. So why don't you tell people about what they can?
Don't get me wrong though. I don't think Obama's like this devil or the worst thing. I think that Obama is just a puppet. He's just a guy that's in a position.
He's trying to do his best.
Who came up through the ranks. Here's the thing, as far as my belief is, elitist, and when I say elitist, the well-off people, the people who have old money, who've been in power in these companies and these corporations and these bureaucrats, they'll allow anybody to raise up in the ranks as long as you play by their rules and play by their, play ball with them. So people like Obama's and whoever else, you can come up in the ranks and you can play, and it's all good as long as you play by those rules. But as soon as you start to speak out and do anything that goes against the elite's interests, then that's when you become a problem, and that's usually when they get rid of you. That's when you have people like a Martin Luther King and people such as Malcolm X who spoke out.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's something that I study in City College called elitist theory. That basically talks about that.